All right, so today we are going to start the Appian development. We talk about all these objects that we have. So before we move forward, do you guys have anything in your mind? Any questions you can ask? Anything? Yes.
Yeah,
No
Ravi.
questions?
Actually, confusing the group type and group. What is the difference in main both
Okay.
terms?
Uh-huh. See, group type is basically, let me show you how the group type look like. Group type is a kind of, you can say, is a bundle, um, which keeps a particular group type. I mean, particular groups. Let me show you. Let me share my screen. Okay. So if any company wants to have their groups type, right, to be of a particular set, like I want to make it as a user group or application group. So if you go to the group type, so group is basically you understand the group, right? It will have the members, and each group represent each role. Okay. Now, if you see that, I say the TA group, user group, okay, and say create, and we can have another called security group. Okay, so I have created two group types. One is the user group, one is the security group. Now, if I say if I'm going to create a group, let's say TI system administrator, what kind of group type we can have it? Either we can have a custom, which is common for everyone. Otherwise, you can also differentiate, like this is my security group. Okay, and then I say create. So I created a group type as a security group and a user group. I'm just binding it as a different types. So if I go and create, let's say I'm going to create a group called TA managers. So what kind of group you think it is going to be? It is kind of a user group, right? So that's what, just to differentiate, and then bind the groups in different types, categorized it. It's a security group or it's a user group, right? So that is the group type. There's no, I mean, uh, technical logic behind it. It's just to segregate the groups of different types. Okay. If you don't do that, it will still be working as it is, and it will all of the groups that we create by default. It will be of type of custom. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now let's start with the application. I mean, before we go into application, we'll learn about something. So we have created this application, right? IFTC banking system, and then here we are going to develop an application where we can transfer the amount from one account to other account. We can have like within our account or to some beneficiary and all, right? So those kind of things we will see how to do that. And then we'll start from here. Test applications, what we'll do, we'll learn about like some expression rules, what is the local variables and all. So today let's see, we are going to learn about the variables. Okay, so in Appian we have different kind of variables. We have local variables, we have rule inputs, process variables, AC, activity class parameters. So everything will be learned one by one, because the process variables and activity class parameters are the part of process variables, so we'll see there. Today we are going to learn about the local variables. Okay, so let's say I go and create an expression rule and just keep that name as variables class one. All right, I'll say create. Okay, so first of all, as we have seen the first day, right? If I put anything here, this is nothing but an expression editor. So whatever you will put it here, it will treat as an expression editor, and then you can get the thing. If I say plus 5, you will get it. So it's kind of an editor window where if you are providing any logical things here, it will give you the output. Now let's see if I say A here. See, it doesn't understand what you're trying to add to the 9, right? So it says that null. I don't understand, so it's returning null. Instead of plus, I can, if I just go and say ampersand, okay, then you will get that the 9, and then A is being appended to the 9, so all both become as a text, so you're getting as a 9A. So this expression editor is a kind of a kind of a calculator. Whatever value you will provide it here, you will get it done. It's not only the mathematical calculations you can do here, you can perform anything. Let's say if I want to append any string, so I can say A ampersand B, and you will get the output as an ampersand B. So for concatenation, we have another function. One function has been defined for this one, so we can say concat. So this is basically, in Java also we have a concat function. So all this Appian has been designed in in Java language. So everything you will find a very similar coding. So concat function if you are going to use, and provide the values what you want to concat, and still you are getting the same result. If I go and use one more, right? So either you can use a concat function or you can use an ampersand symbol in Appian to calculate. Okay. So that is about the expression editor. You can perform any kind of things here. Now, how do we declare a variable? To declare a variable in Appian, we have a function called local variables. Okay. Okay. Every function and every variables require a prefix to it. Like here you can see it says a bank. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't require to be get remembered because I haven't typed that a bank, right? I just remember the name of the function. That to declare variables, I need a local variable function. So I'll just say local variables. It will start giving the suggestions. When I use the local variables, the prefix will automatically come. So what is a local variables? Local variable is nothing but a function. You see this one? It says that local variables is a function which allows you to declare local variables that can be used within this expression. So whatever local variable we are going to create here, that will be available within inside these brackets. We cannot use out of it. Okay. So how do we declare a local variable? So let's say I'll say local bank x, I'll say number and x num. And just to assign the value in Appian, we say colon and then assign the value. Okay. So this is how we can declare a variable. So local x num, if we say local x num, only just on, so it's a declaration. We have declared a variable called x num. Okay. Again, you can say local a text. Okay. So these all are the variable we have declared. You can give any name. You don't have to mention num on text here. Whatever you will give the name, it's just a name. You don't have to type given a type or anything. Okay. So now if I'm going to assign here, let's say 10. So now my local x num is going to have the value of 10. And here if I say ram, so my local a text will have the value as a ram. So what is the basic fundamental rule of a function? Because this is a function, right? Even local variable is nothing but a function. So what is the one basic fundamental thing of a function? What a function does?
Store some functionality.
Um, you go ahead.
To give an output.
Exactly. A function always will return an output. So right now what we have done, we have just declared the things. So what we need to do, we need to return something, right? A function always returns something. So if I want to return, let's say I want to return local bank a text. I just write that variable. Here we have declared it, we have assigned the value, and then here we are returning it. So if I click on text tool here, you will see that it is returning the value of RAM, and that is the value is captured into the event text. So we don't have to declare the type. Have we declared anywhere that it's going to be text or it's going to be number integer? No, right? So we just need to declare the value, and then it will behave in that way. Now let's say I'll put then ampersand here and say age is and space, and then again ampersand, I'll say local bank x num. So now what do you think, what could be the output?
The name and the number.
So it will also give you the text that we have concatenated here. Okay, so this is the name that we are getting it from here, and this is the text that we are appending, and then we are also appending the age. So we are getting that Ram age is 10, right? So this is how you can work with the variables, and you don't have to declare the type of it. Okay, all right. Now, why it is called local? Why this is called local? Now let's imagine inside this local variable function, I'm going to have one more Appian local variable function. And here I'm going to declare a variable called local bank ynum, and I'm going to assign a value 10 to it. Okay, and then if I try to use this local bank, say local bank a text ampersand, let me have 20 here, is ampersand local bank. You see, it is not giving me the option of ynum. Why it is not giving me the option of ynum? Any guesses?
It's a local variable. It's within the previous snippet.
Yeah, this ynum is has been declared inside this local variable, so it can be used only inside this bracket. It cannot be accessed outside of this bracket. Okay, so here I cannot say local bank. Okay, I'll just use then xnum. Now, if I try to use here local bank, why I'm getting all the text values here? I'm getting the a text as well. Any guesses? Here I'm able to access this local text. Why I'm able to access
It is that as local variable function, that parent local variable function, it is right.
yes, because this itself is a part of this entire brackets, right? This is also locally to this one, so that's the reason we are able to access the local text. So now it's clear. I mean, what is the use of? I mean, how we can declare it variable values where and how, right? So it cannot return the things we have declared here. It's not a local, right? So that's the reason it's not able. If I comment this thing, let's see. Sorry, we cannot comment like this. We need to have this symbol. All of a sudden I went to database. Okay, so now you understand, right? How do we get the values and how what the local variables means? It will be locally to the function where it has been declared. Clear? Do we need to declare a type of a variable, local variable?
No.
Right. Okay, now this is about the local single values. Now let's go and learn about something arrays. So I'll say local bank array 1. So even if you are going to declare an array in Appian, we do not have to declare the type. What we just have to do, we have to just let them know that this is going to be as a type of array. So we can provide the values into the curly braces. Okay, I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right now, if I want to return this, I will be able to get the values whatever is there into a list. So it's saying that it's a list of number integers. So Appian internally understood that okay, whatever value you have passed here, it's a number list of number integers. So it is saying that okay, this array is a number of integers and it has 5 items. So we are getting all those 5 items. Now, if I go and append here text, right? So it says now list of variants. because it has 6 items, but there is, apart from this number integer, we are also having a text. So now it says that it's not a number of list of number integer, it's a now list of variant. We have multiple things here. So you can also declare a variable which can have different types. Okay. Now, likewise, we have declared an array. We can also have an array of name value there. Okay. Let me show you. We can have, let's say, I can say name. I can provide some name. I can provide some age. I can provide mobile number. Let's say, okay. Now, if I want to try to return this, just see the type of the, getting it. So now we have declared an array. It's a name and key value pair. Now, if I go and click on the text role, it says it's a dictionary. So whatever the type you are declared here is a kind of a dictionary. So we are getting the values according to that. Okay, is that clear? So we know where we have defined the type of a local variables. It just we are trying to assign the values to the local variables and make it useful. Okay.
Yes.
Any questions? All right. Now, let's say we are going to use another variables we are going to talk about is the rule inputs. So what is the use of a rule input? Let me see this. I'm going to create a new expression rule, and here I'll say, let's say I'm going to create a rule for calculator. Okay, this expression rule is used as calculator. Okay, I'll say create. All right. Now, what is a rule input? So rule input is a kind of a variable which is behaves like as a bridge to pass the information and to retrieve the information from one place to other place. Okay. So now let's say I'm not going to declare any local variable function here. I'm just going to, if you see that here on the right hand side, there's a small arrow. If you click on it, it will say rule inputs. Okay. So I'm going to have a value rule input here and say, give the name as value 1. Okay. And going to type of number integer, and I'll say value 2. It is again going to type of number integer. All right. Now I'm not going to declare any local variable, but let's say I'm going to declare local variable function. Local variable function. So once we declare a local variable function, it says that okay, I have two parameters, value 1 and value 2. Let's say I want to have I'll just say, how do we define this, whatever variable we have declared here? To get this variable, to reference this variable, we have to add a prefix called rule input RI, rule input RI bank, and then it will start giving you the suggestions. Okay, you have two rule inputs. I want to say local value 1, sorry, RI value 1 plus I say RI value 2. Okay, so initially we have seen that, right? We just did 9 plus 4 and we got the 13, but that's an hard coded. What if user wants to add some values based on whatever value they are going to pass? Okay, so now you see this one. If you don't want to declare local variable function also, it will work. I'll just say look, RI value 1 plus RI value 2. Now how it will work? What is the value for these two variables? So let's, whatever value we are going to pass here, it will work on that one. Let's say I'll just pass 8 and then I'll pass 9, and if you do the addition, it will get the 17. Okay, so this is kind of a dynamic rule we have created. So whatever value we pass, it will work according to that variable. Okay, all right. So now let's save these changes, and then I'm going to create one more expression rule, and here I'll just say call calculator. this rule will call another, let's say, create. Now here I'm just, how do I call another rule? Because that's a rule that we have created. It's not a function. This is a rule that we have created. So for that we can say rule and then bang, exclamatory notation, and the name of that rule, TA1 underscore calculator. So once I tap, no, not the call calculator. So once I call this rule, right, it will say that, okay, you are trying to call this rule. It has two parameters. So if you remember, this is the parameter name we have given, the rule input name, right? So whatever rule input we have created, this is saying that, okay, it requires two inputs, we need to pass it. So I'll just call it here. And for value 1, let's say I will pass 10. And for value 2, let's say I'll pass 15. Okay. Okay. So for value 1, I am passing 1, and 2, I'm passing 15. Now if I click on test rule, I'm getting the output. So where this addition is happening, this addition is happening inside some different rule based on the whatever we have defined, and here we are just calling that rule. Is that okay? Is that clear? I mean, how we are calling that rule and how we are getting the output. So we just created a kind of a rule which is given as a function. So this is the rule input which is behaving as a bridge, and we are passing the value 10 to it. And here, when we receive a 10 here, it will just say, okay, 10 plus 15, and it's returning the value from here. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's make some enhancement to this rule. Okay, let's declare a local variable here, function, and I'll say local bang one more local variable. I'm going to use operator. Okay. Before doing this, let me explain some different things. Okay, I'll just explain a few more things, and you guys need to, make this character as an enhanced role. Okay, that will be a task. So let me explain the other things. All right, I'll just create a new expression role. I'll say functions. Okay. Let's say we have a local variable function declared, and then here I'll say local bang array1, and I have an array called A, B, C. Okay, and I want to find the index of this array. Okay, and let's say I'll say local bang, not local bang. Let's create a rule input. Let's say find text. Okay, it's going to be text. So whatever user is going to provide here, I want to get that index where it is present. Okay, so let's say I provide C, the output should be 3. Okay, the output should be 3. So how do we get that? Anyone have any ideas? What we can do? If I'm going to pass C, I want 3. If I'm going to pass A, I should be getting 1. If I pass D, I should be getting null. So any logic, not about the functions, what logic you will try to do? If I ask you to create an algorithm for this one or a flow chart, what you will do? A pseudocode.
Should check for the position of the input character and return that value.
Yeah. So like, you will go first. If A is equal to C, if it is equal to, then you will get 1. Otherwise, you will check B is equal to C. So that's the how you pseudocode you will do that. If you talk about the C language or other places, you will compare the things here. In Appian, what you can do is that we can say where contains. Where contains is a function which is used to return the index of the match value. It requires two things. First is the value. So what is the value? What is the value we are trying to find?
C.
And that is available at, how do I refer that C?
That local array one.
Local array one has the array. It's an array. Where contains require two things, value and arrays. So what is the value I want to find? I want to find C. And how do I represent in the code so where contains function can understand what I'm trying to find, C or A or what B, whatever, right? So this C is represented at what place? The find text, right? So find text has the value as a C. And find text is what? It is a rule input. And how do I refer a rule input? I'll say RI bang and then find text. Okay. If I do like this, it means that what we are trying to find, we are trying to find C. If you say like A, then here it will represent as an A. Okay. Now the second parameter is called array, where we want to find this thing. So we want to find this into where? Local bang array one, right? Is that clear? So where contains function is used to find the index. It requires two parameters, the value you want to find and the array where you want to find it. So we are passing this value as our RI because the value is in the RI and array is my local array one. Now if I go and click on text row, I'm getting it one. It means that this whatever text we're trying to find is available at index one. If I try to find C, I'm getting it 3. If I pass D, I'm getting it null, no integer, no item, 0 items, right? So will you be able to make this calculator rule or enhance this calculator rule where, if I pass some operator also to that role, I should be able to perform according to the operation. Let's say, for example, right now it's only doing the addition, right? If I'm going to create one more input here, I'll say operator and I'm going to make as a text. Okay. Now I will give you a list of operator here. Let's say local variable function I'm going to declare and I'll say local bang operator list, and here let's me declare a list here. I'll say plus, sorry, come on, plus, minus, multiplication, and division. Okay, this is my list of operator. Okay, now the thing is that if I pass two values here, let's say if I pass 10 and if I pass 8 and if I pass an operator as minus, I should be performing minus. If I pass plus, I should be doing it plus. Okay, let me tell you one more thing, one more function that you will require. You will require a function called choose, right? So how the choose function works? Okay, so let me declare a local variable and assign to it local bang index position. Okay, so now this local index position, what I did, I'm just returning this value to a variable. Now if I pass the let me pass the C, I'll still get the same variable as a number 3, right? So whatever calculation it is performing, it is assigning to the local variable index position and I'm returning this index position. So index position will have a number integer 3. Okay, now how the choose function works? So we can declare a choose function, and the choose function, like, it will require the key. And what's the key for us? This is the local variable, it has the key. Why? Because this is having the number integer values. So we have a key here. We can and then we can say um, D E F Okay. Now, can you tell me if I execute this code now, because this is the final thing that we are returning, I'm going to pass B here. Can anyone tell me what could be the output? Think. Go step by step, and then you will be able to find the answer. Come on, guys, give a try. Am I audible?
Yes, Ravi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give a try. Why everyone is so silent?
So it will be compare those value or what? That choose function.
So choose function, how the choose function works. Choose function works, it will require the key, and then based on the key, whatever the value is there at that particular position, it will return that. So first you tell me, what is the value for this one? This index position, what value it will have?
The 2.
That is correct, it will have 2. Now, what is the key?
The 2.
So E will be the display.
E.
E will be the output, right? So that is how the choose function works. Okay, so you guys can not try to create a calculator, and then based on the operator what we will pass, you can perform the such kind of operation. So you will require a choose function. So try at your home and try to create this calculator thing. Okay, is that clear? Any question in where contains in choose function?
Sorry, to try this out, should we need access, like developer access or something?
Yeah, you will require the access. I mean, I will share the account details on the WhatsApp group. You guys will be getting from there. The WhatsApp group has been created, I guess, right? Yeah, I think, yeah, WhatsApp group has been created.
Is created.
Yeah. So I'll share the login credentials there. Okay. So you guys can try this thing. Oh, all right. Now let's talk about some more functions. Um, let's talk about some array functions. Okay, let me close this. So calculator is a task. Okay. I'm going to create another expression rule. Let's say function. All right. So let's say we have a local variable function, and then we have a local array 1, and I'm going to declare an array, let's say A, B, and C. So we have a looping function called in Appian, just like in Java we have a for loop, right? So in Appian it's called as a for each. So how does for each function works? So we have talked about the local variables, we have talked about the rule inputs. Now there is a one variable that is called inbuilt variables, function inbuilt variables. So the function is called for each. So for each function require two things. The first thing is that the array that you want to iterate, and then the expression, what you want to do with that particular set. So the two parameters, if you don't remember, you can check it here. It says items and expressions. So in the items, we can pass local bank array 1. Okay, so because that's my array, and in expression, So as I said, the few functions in Appian are having its own variable that is called function variable. So we can refer them as FB, function variable bang. And then these are the list of the function variables it has: identifier, index, is first, is last, item, and item count. When I say item, it means that each element of your item. Okay, each element of your item. So what are the elements of my item? I mean array. A, B, and C. These are the three elements of my array, right? So now if I go and click on test roll, can anyone guess what could be the output?
It will return 3 or what?
Sorry, ABC.
It will
ABC.
return
Yeah,
A, B,
ABC.
C, each element of your item, right? Okay, now what's the meaning then? If I go and just say ampersand, I'll just say ampersand, let's say 1. Now can anyone guess what could be the output?
A1, B1, C1.
That is correct. So it's going to return A1, B1, C1. Okay. Now instead of 1, if I say FB bang index, then what could be the output?
It's
A1,
Sorry,
B2, C3.
C3.
That's correct. So index is like each index of your each item. So A is having at first, B is the second, and C is the third. So it's A1, B2, and C3. So based on your array element, you can also iterate the number of expressions, and then you can perform the things according to that. Let's say, for example, you have a list of array where you want to update the created by field of a particular set. So what we can do, we can, instead of doing it one by one, we can iterate that item as multiple in the for each, and then update that particular field with the exact value. All right. Now, is that clear for each how it works? As an items and an expression. Items, like whatever array will pass, it will iterate each element of that array, and then in the expression you can perform whatever you want to perform on that particular set. Okay. All right. Is that clear? Cool. All right. Now let's go and create some dictionary. So I'll say local bang, let's say EMP list. Okay, EMP list. So I'm going to create array of an array. It's kind of a multiple array. So I'll just say name, Rohan, age 25. Okay. Now I'm going to have another set. I'll just say name Shohan. I'll say 35. I can have another set. I'll just say name Rohan. Now you see this one, right? Local employee list. Suppose I have a local employee list and it is going to give you the return as a dictionary. So how many dictionary it will return? It is going to return 3 dictionaries, right? It says list of dictionaries, 3 items, and each dictionary has the element like this. Okay. Now, suppose a requirement comes and they say that tell me the age of Sohan. How you will do that? Right? So there could be a requirement like that. So for to get that output, I mean to get that desired result first, let's learn about the function that we will be required. So in Appian we have a function called index. Okay, this index function is very useful and we will be using a lot of places. So let's learn about this index function. Index function works in 2 ways. First is that index function required 3 parameters. Okay, the first parameter is the data. Right, data, it means it will definitely require an array. So if I say data, so what is the data in our case?
employee list.
Yes, so we'll pass as a local bang employee list. Okay, now second parameter that is required is called index. If I ask you, give me the index of Sohan, what is the index of Sohan?
On 2.
2. So I'll pass just 2. And it's the default value. If doesn't match, if the index at second index there's no data, what do you want to return? I just want to return, let's say, null. Okay. If I execute this test rule, if I click on test rule, what you think? What could be the output?
So that so on and age at so on 35.
Yes. So it will only return one index of data, which is one dictionary, that is as the where it is matching. Okay. Now this is how the index function works in the first way. Is that clear, guys? Out of this employee list, I'm just dragging, minimizing the result to 1. And how we are doing that? By using an index function. And here we are passing the index, which is hard coded. But yes, we are passing it as a here. So it's returning the value. Okay, this is the one way of index. Is that clear? Any question here?
Instead of null, we
Yes.
can pass that string and integer values to return.
Yeah, if I, let's say if I pass 5 here, okay, and then I'll try to pass 4 here, right? Do we have a 4 index?
No, so it will return 5. Yeah.
The default value 5 is being returned. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's. Any question, guys? I mean, only one people is interacting. Others, is that clear? If you have no question, that's fine. At least you said that it's clear or not.
Yeah, clear.
Now the other way of using index function is like this. Okay, I'll just say index. Okay, I'll pass the data. Now instead of index, I want to pass, let's say, name, the parameter of the value, the parameter value, name of that list. Any guesses what could be the output of this one?
The names of that employee list, like Mohan, so on, I think.
Yeah, so it will return all the names are available at that particular place. Okay. Is that clear, guys? So these are the two ways of using this index function. Now, if I ask you, give me the name, give me the age of Sohan without providing hard-coded value, how you will give me that? I want the age of Sohan. And you should not be using hard-coded value. So what you have a array which is having all this name and age, and you have an input parameter that is called name, is a Sohan. So I want the age of a Sohan. So what is the first thing you guys need to find?
So one name, where content function, I think we use.
Exactly. So first of all, we need to find the index, right? So let's say I declare a local variable called local match index. So what do I need to type here?
Index local employee list.
No, I want to find that index. So which function is used to find that index?
The where contains.
Where contains. So where contains is a function which is used to find that index. And what is the where contains parameter I need to pass? What is the input? It says value and array.
Yeah, so one
Value is the Sohan. And what is an array?
The local bank employee list.
employee list.
But local bank employee list does not have the only name. It also has the name and age. So where you're trying to find this Sohan?
Index function we can use.
Okay, so tell me, what do I need to use? Index function and then
Index local employee list.
Local employee list and then
Name.
name
name,
and then
comma.
default value is 1. So if I go and return this value, let's see. Okay. So it says that can only act on the data of the same type. So right now what is happening, this index function returns a list of an array. It's kind of a dictionary array, right? But here we have the text, simple text. So that's the reason it is not able to find that exact place, right? So to fix this problem, we have a function called toUniformString. Okay, so what we can do, the dictionary what we are getting it, right? So we just type as a toUniformString and wrap it into this function. This entire index output will go inside the toUniformString. So what will happen? This index function returns a dictionary, so it can work on a type of text. So we are just wrapping this entire output as a text by using this function toUniformString. It will still work, right? So we are getting the index of 2. Why? Because the input was Sohan, right? So now we got the index 2. Now I want the age. How do I get that, right? So we have 2. Fine. What next? Come on, guys. You have 50% done. So you are able to find that index now based on the name. So what's the second step?
So using index.
Okay, so we are calling an index function, and then
Local bank in
local bank
Local
employee list.
match index, I
And
think we use.
here we need to pass local match index and default parameter. So what could be the output of this one? It's going to return me the entire dictionary of this array, right? Now from here, I want the age. So this is a kind of a one output. So what we can do, we can wrap this one inside one more index function, right? I'll just say index. Okay, so this is going to be my input parameter, the array, and then here I want age.
Okay.
Is that clear? What I did? So this was returning me this entire set, and the output of this one I make as an input of this index function, and after that I want to find an age. So click on this tool now. I want the output. Is that clear? Understood? We can wrap it into the local
Line number
variable.
25, why we use that curly bracket instead of null?
There's a reason behind it, because this index function we have a list, right?
Okay.
Even if you was the null, that will also work. That's not an issue. But we are expecting an array,
Okay.
right? For example, this you are going to as an input somewhere, some place where that particular is required as an array, and if you pass null, then it can break, right? So it depends. If you are expecting an array, you can pass a curly braces, blank curly braces, and if you are expecting a number integer or single text, you can pass as null. Okay, so that's the reason you have to understand. Okay, when you need to pass what your expectation from this role. So from this one, I was expecting an array, so that's why the reason I pass on curly braces. But here I was expecting a single value, so I just passed null. Okay, is that clear, guys? Any question? How we are getting the age from this list based on the name? Yes, no, not applicable. Venkat, is that clear to you?
Yes.
Sure is done.
Yes.
Venkat, clear?
Yeah, Ravi.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm following it. Yes.
Thank you. Madhav, is that clear to you? And Shefa. Is that
Yes, sir.
Sifalam? Okay. Cool.
Yes, sir. Shivalam.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. So let's stop here. I think what we have learned today, you can practice. I will be sharing the credential into the group, WhatsApp group. You can get it from there. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. We can discuss about more on that.